It's 2024, and boy, haven't we progressed in our society. I mean, think about those people 2000 years ago. I mean, they were still carrying things in clay pots, and we have metal and aluminum and plastic. And think about those people. They used to go to the bathroom in holes in the ground, and look at, we created plumbing and electricity, and we are so awesome. We are so progressive. I'd like to talk to you about what is real progress. And actually, it's talked about in the Bible. I think about the fact that we've decided we don't need God. So he was taken out of schools in the 1960s. And then we decided to okay contraception. And a lot of people still think the Catholics are ridiculous, but when Humana Vitae was written by the Pope at the time that it was written, he basically said, it cannot be good because contraception, in essence, makes us God, gives us the decisions over life, takes the sexual act and makes it no longer life-giving. And that Pope predicted, he said, abortions will go up, sex will be objectified, women will be objectified, sex will be used just for pleasure, so women will be the object of that pleasure. As I just said, it'll be separated from life-giving. And then you look at other progress that we've made. In vitro fertilization. I remember thinking years ago, I saw on TV a story when they talked about this mother, this daughter couldn't have a child because she was born without her uterus. So her mother carried the child for her. And I remember thinking, I would do that for my daughter. And whose heart wouldn't break for their own child? So she took her daughter and her son-in-law's embryo. So it was, in fact, the DNA of the daughter and her husband, and then put it in the grandmother, and the grandmother birthed her grandchild, gave it to the daughter and her husband, and everybody lived happily ever after. But I've had my podcast. I've met a lot of people. I've seen what can happen. And of course, I'm not making myself God. I'm just trying to go, maybe this wasn't so progressive at all. Just this week, I read an article about 3 men who consider themselves a polyamorous throuple, 3 men who are fighting so that they can get all 3 men's names on the birth certificate of the child that they purchased. Oh, that's right. They purchased it from someone who is a surrogate. And in that case, it wasn't even the egg, or obviously it wasn't the egg of any of them, and was a sperm from one of them. So 2 of them, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, got to be on the birth certificate. And the 3rd man in the throuple feels bad because he is a father too. And that child is going to be so happy to have 3 fathers. Oh, a child wouldn't be so happy to have 3 dads. I'm sorry. Did you just see that eye roll? I'll do better at hiding it next time. They've gone so far as to start a support group for other homosexual men, trans persons, so that they can better help support them in procuring or purchasing a human being that is not the offspring of them. You talk about adoption. You say we've been adopting for years. Yes, we have. But adoption has been in the beginning in those cases where by no choice of the biological parents, or by very little choice, there were circumstances that made it difficult for that mother and or father to raise that child. It wasn't ideal, but the Loving Act, they put that child up for adoption to a loving family. And they always used to guarantee they had a mother and a father. Surrogacy. I've had people on my podcast talk about the pain of abandonment. I'm not going to give you all the details here. Go look at the podcasts. Go read the stories. I never realized the abandonment issues that came when you're sitting inside of the womb of one person. And then when you come out of that womb, you smell this person you've tasted, you've smelt, you've heard, you're comfortable with, and then instantly ripped from that person and given to another person with whom you have no contact. And that child suffers abandonment. And they don't even know why for many years, as the woman who was on my show. I didn't even understand. When she found out she was the child of a surrogate, it made sense. It sounds good about surrogacy, but we create abandonment, fatherlessness, motherlessness, and so on. Progress. We pride ourselves on being progressive, but we have no real clue on what progress is. Because I will tell you this, if progress is that which takes us from the truth and takes us to our base animal instincts and removes all societal parameters, causes hurt to other individuals, creates a selfishness in us, is that really progress? I think we are going backwards and becoming more animalistic. Oh, but alas, don't take Christine Bacon's word for it. It is spoken of in the Bible, an entire book of the Bible, 2 John. It is only a 4-paragraph book in the Bible. And I will read 2 of those paragraphs. I'm just going to skip the introduction from the presbyter to the holy lady, blah, blah, blah. Let me read to you what our Lord says about progress. I rejoice greatly to find some of your children walking in the truth, just as we were commanded by the Father. But now, lady, I ask you not as though I were writing a new commandment, but the one we have had from the beginning. Let us love one another. For this is love. Okay, so this is what love is. That we walk according to his commandments. This is the commandment, as you heard from the beginning, in which you should walk. Okay, so this is what we should do, be walking in God's will. Next paragraph. Many deceivers have gone out into the world. Those who do not acknowledge Jesus Christ is coming in the flesh. Such is the deceitful one and the Antichrist. Look to yourselves that you do not lose what we worked for, but may receive a full recompense. Anyone who is so progressive as not to remain in the teaching of the Christ does not have God. Whoever remains in the teaching has the Father and the Son. If anyone comes to you and does not bring this doctrine, do not receive him in your house or even greet him, for whoever greets him shares in his evil works. And the final paragraph just says, I've got a lot more to write to you, but not now. If anyone is so progressive, it has it in there in quotations, as to not remain in the teaching of Christ does not have God. People get mad at the church. Oh, why don't you let IVF? Why don't you? Because God in his infinite wisdom knew our evil nature. And he knew that we would abuse it. Look at embryos being created. And I've seen a video where sperm and egg come together and there is literally is a burst of light. I've heard of it, but I've seen it. How did they get the cameras in there? Anyway. So that is a human being from the moment those two touch each other. And though they're teeny tiny, they're in little petri dishes and they're frozen. And now humans alive are thrown away, discarded, made to die. We contracept. We go against, we say, I, God, will tell you when I want a child, not you. And when we get one that we didn't want, I wanted a girl. I wanted a girl. This is a boy. Get rid of it. Oh, yeah. I saw that news article too. You know what? You gave us the wrong embryo. We carried for 9 months. This isn't even ours. We don't want this child. We are a sick and depraved people. We are not progressive. We have devolved. We have walked closer to Satan. We have walked away from God's ways. And I'm filming this in the month that has been given to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And yet we are so progressive. There's a whole group that's trying to give it away to Satan and his minions who go against God's laws. What is progress? Do you walk in God's ways? Think of the things we argue about. Modesty. Well, I can't wear those things that aren't fashionable. I struggle with that all the time. But if my progress brings me away from God, then I say, take it away from me. I'd rather be in ugly clothes, no makeup, obeying my husband, working at home with children, and being called names by society than to be progressive and walk away. Check it out. The book is called 2nd John. It's not the Gospel of John. It's towards the back of the Bible. Read it, ponder it, and ask what the Lord is asking you to progress in. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon. Thanks for watching another Breakfast with Bacon. And as always, please remember to live your life sunny side up.